Then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. That's enough. I want to talk in these words of preaching. Don't park here. Don't park here. A man who was a board member had to attend a convention for his job. The event was being held at a venue downtown, an area known for being busy and crowded. And as expected, like most downtown city locations, parking was limited. If you arrived too late in the evening, parking would be scarce. The meters would be occupied at the time and the garage gates would be closed, forcing an individual to park on the street. And unaware of this particular man did not leave his hotel at a decent time to get to the venue, and on his way, the unexpected happened. He got stuck in traffic, making himself late for the event. And by the time he arrived, there was no parking available, and even the parking decks were full. And after driving around looking for a spot, more time was wasted, and every spot that he found was occupied. But eventually he discovered an empty space, parked there, and he went to the convention. However, when he returned to the parking lot, around 6:30 p.m., he was shocked to find that his car was gone. Confused, he looked around and he saw a sign that read, parking allowed only between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Violators will be towed outside of these hours. It was then that he realized that the spot he had parked in had restrictions. And since he stayed beyond the allowed time, his vehicle had been towed for remaining in a place that was only meant to be temporary. And how often do we find ourselves like this man? Staying in places that are only meant to be temporary, yet thinking they are permanent, not realizing they don't serve us well. Because in the same way, we sometimes park in relationships that drain us, jobs that stifle our growth. We park in habits that hinder us, environments that discourage us, thoughts that limit us, and we even park in fears that paralyze us. Eventually we get comfortable, thinking that these temporary places are where we belong, not noticing the signs or the restrictions that are meant to inspire us to move forward. But much like the man's car being towed, we can face consequences when we linger in places that don't value us or contribute to our progress. And as a result, we end up stuck in a cycle, unable to move forward because we're stagnated where we are. But the key to avoiding this is recognizing when it's time to let go of places that limit us and move where we're meant to prosper. But much like a sign that warns, don't park here. The Israelites in Exodus 14 found themselves in a place that was never meant to be their permanent situation. Because after all, they had just been freed from over 400 years of bondage in Egypt, and they had witnessed God's power through the 10 plagues, with the final plague breaking Pharaoh's resistance. And now set free, they were making their way toward the promised land, seemingly destined for success with God guiding them. But even though the journey seemed poised for success, an unexpected turn of events led them to be by the Red Sea. Because just when they thought they were on their path to freedom, Pharaoh had a change of heart, pursued them to reclaim his his authority, and they ended up caught between Pharaoh's army and the Red Sea, and they faced an insurmountable situation. Because with no boats and no way to swim across the sea, they were left with two choices. Either return to Egypt or face death at the Red Sea. But even though they faced this moment of despair, God stepped in. Because God stepped in and he made a way out of no way, parting the Red Sea and leading the Israelites safely through, and what seemed like a permanent standstill was in fact a temporary task designed to reveal that current location are not your final destination. But to understand that where you are isn't your destination. To understand where you need the power. Number one, you have to take action. You have to take action. After they escaped slavery from Egypt, the Israelites journeyed to the Red Sea. And the Hebrew, Yam Suf, is usually translated as Red Sea. But more accurately, it means the Sea of Reed, or the Lake of Reeds, and it likely refers to the marshy lakes like the El Bala Lakes that was near the Mediterranean Sea. But although the Israelites found themselves exactly where they needed to be, the Israelites were unaware that they were being led into a trap. Because as we discovered on last week, God saw an opportunity while they only saw an obstacle. Because by commanding them to camp between the sea and the desert, God drew Pharaoh to go back and pursue them to set the stage for a powerful display of his sovereignty. And through this, God will allow the Israelites and the Egyptians to recognize him for who he truly was. Although this was a part of God's plan, the Israelites were filled with fear, thinking that there was no hope left and no way for them to be saved. Therefore, in their moment of despair, they began to accuse Moses. And they said to Moses, "Was there not enough graves in Egypt? So you had to bring us out into the wilderness to die." But despite the overwhelming hopelessness that the Israelites were experiencing, Moses encouraged them. Moses assured them and told them that God would fight for them. But all they had to do was stand still. Now, last Sunday we discussed what it meant to stand still. But I noticed something interesting in the text. Because shortly after Moses commanded them to stand still, the emphasis shifted to get moving. Let me say it again.
All right.
Moses just told the people to stand still. But now his assignment is to get moving. Because having encouraged the people, Moses prayed on their behalf. And while the content of Moses' prayer is not recorded in Scripture, many scholars argue that it happened because it justifies God's response in verse 15. Because if you read verse 15, it seems as though Moses is praying. Or Moses has probably finished praying, and God interrupts him and basically says to him, "Moses, that's enough talking. Get up and make something happen." Now this can cause some head scratching. Because it gives the impression that God isn't behaving like himself.
All right.
We all know that God expects us to pray.
Amen.
But here, he's rebuking Moses.
Yeah.
But to clarify any confusion, it's not that prayer wasn't necessary, but it had to be followed by action to be effective.
All right.
This is important for us to consider. Because many of us think that we can pray and expect God to handle everything on his own.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, sometimes it takes for you to take the first step in order to allow God to meet you where you are. But it's a sad indictment that many of us don't measure up to this. And let me tell you why. We mask our laziness with prayer, expecting results. And can I offer something to you for consideration? That prayer you've been praying, it wasn't unanswered. So let's be honest. We've all had moments when we prayed to God and it seemed as though heaven's landline was disconnected. But let me tell you, whether you know it or not, God is attentive to your prayer. But the problem is, you cannot get an answer because as you wait on God, he sometimes waits on you. There was a man who found himself stranded on a deserted island after the shipwreck. And this man had no way to get from this island. But what he did was he prayed to God. He said, God, come and save me. I'm going to wait on you to rescue me. And one day, a helicopter was flying by this island. And when the helicopter flew by, they realized that there was someone stranded, and he lowered down a rope to get the man. He said, climb aboard the helicopter, grab the rope, and make your way to safety. That's right. But the man said, I don't need to climb up the rope. I prayed to God. And one day he's going to come and save me. Well, to make a long story short, that man died on that island because he did not take the opportunity to grab hold of the rope and make his way to the very thing that he prayed for. And Shiloh, can I tell you, some of us remain in our current situations without change because we're reluctant to take the first step to improve our situation. And let me tell you, God won't just give you a handout. God can't always spoil and spoon feed us. I remember in 7th grade, my geography teacher, Coach Wilkerson, was a kind-hearted man. He did not want any of his students to fail. And on the first day of class, he told us what we could do to pass. He said it like this. He said, if you meet me halfway, I'll meet you halfway. And Shiloh, God expects the same thing from us. Sometimes you got to meet him halfway. And he'll meet you halfway. Because you sitting around talking about I'm praying for a job. But pray while you seek opportunities and fill out applications and God will open the door. You're facing financial struggle. But pray while you budget and become a good steward of your finances You praying for little Ray Ray to act better.
Yeah.
Pray
Yeah.
while you discipline him and put that belt to his behind until he's straightened out. And fly right.
Yeah.
Truth be told, we're stuck in situations that will never change because God won't do something for you that you can do
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, preacher.
for yourself.
Yeah.
But let me bring it to you like this. When you do what you can,
Yeah.
God will step in and do what you can. But all you have to do
Yeah.
is start by doing your part, and God will do his.
Yeah.
Don't park here.
Yeah. Don't park.
You got to take action.
Yeah.
But number two, don't park here. And you have to trust his authority.
Yeah.
You have to trust his authority. As Moses prepared to carry out God's instructions, the Israelites also had to prepare themselves to move forward. Because moving across the Red Sea wasn't about leaving quickly. But they had to break down the camp,
Yeah.
round up the livestock, and organize their belongings to ensure that they left in an organized manner. But we have to consider the fact that while they were making preparations to depart,
Yeah.
they were still trapped between the sea and Pharaoh's army.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at any moment, they could have been caught off guard and attacked.
Yeah.
But although Pharaoh plotted, God already had a plan in motion.
Yeah. All right.
Because God did not abandon his people to fend for themselves. Instead, he intervened and he protected his people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a couple of weeks ago, we learned that God was leading the Israelites with a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night, which was a visible manifestation of his presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now we see that there is an adjustment that has been made.
Yeah.
Because the angel of the Lord, God's holy messenger, along with the pillar, moved from in front of them
Yeah.
to behind them,
Yeah.
placing itself in between the Israelites and the Egyptians.
Yeah.
And as a result, the Egyptians were unable to pursue the Israelites, losing sight
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
And because God made this adjustment, he kept the Egyptians
Yeah.
in bay.
Yeah.
So despite how much of a threat the Egyptians seemed to be,
Yeah.
despite how much it seemed as though the Egyptians could overpower the Israelites, they were unable to even reach them.
Yeah.
Because God stood between them.
Yeah.
Some years ago, I had an American bully. Her name was Bella. And I would walk Bella every now and again. And one day when I was walking Bella, there were some kids in the street walking. I was coming down the street, they were coming up the street, and I knew that they would be scared because I had a dog. So when I got close to them, I could see the look of concern on their faces, and they were even scared to walk past me, all because I had Bella.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like most dogs, she did not seem approachable. She barked loudly and she seemed intimidating, but yet they were still afraid to walk by.
Yeah. Yeah.
But while they were afraid, one thing that they did not consider is that I had the leash in my hand. And as long as I had the leash in my hand, I controlled the situation and I could stop the dog whenever I needed to.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that's the same way God works.
Yeah.
Because God is also holding the leash. Because there are times when dangers and attacks come our way, but whenever they try to come near us, God pulls the leash. Let me tell you, no matter how fierce it looks,
No matter.
He always holds the enemy back, and as long as he has the leash in his hand,
Yeah.
the enemy can't get past you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, your enemies can bark,
Yeah.
but they can't bite.
Yeah.
They can make threats.
Yeah.
They can lie on you.
Yeah.
They can spread rumors about you. They can even do all they can to intimidate you. But let me tell you, they don't have the power to harm you.
Yeah.
Because though the weapon may form,
Yeah.
God will not allow it
Yeah.
to prosper.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, when you know you got folks hating on you, trying to come up against you, don't you worry.
Yeah.
Don't you panic.
Yeah.
Don't you fear.
Yeah.
Because even if they try to dig that ditch,
Yeah.
even if they try to sabotage your progress,
Yeah.
even if they try to put obstacles in your way, God is standing by and He can block every threat. Of the enemy.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, you got some folk on your job.
Yeah.
They're doing all they can to get you fired.
Yeah.
Every little thing you do,
Yeah.
they try to go talk to the boss man to sell you out.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, God blocked it.
Yeah.
And you're still on the job, thriving and excelling, and you're the one that's getting promoted while they've been the ones that are getting demoted. You've been encouraged to let go of that no good Negro that didn't mean you no good. And now that you built the courage up to lead them, they're trying to spread all kinds of rumors about you to ruin your reputation. But God blocked it. And folks still like you. Folks still love to be around you because God gets between you and the enemy. And can I tell you, sometimes your enemy ain't the one that's posing a threat to you. Sometimes your enemy is your enemy. Sometimes God has to block you from yourself. Because you were about to make a decision that would have driven you crazy, but God blocked it. And God spared you from disaster. So let me tell you, don't you allow yourself to be defeated, because God will not allow anything to get in the way of what He has for you. You'll still be clear path. You'll block the enemy set before you. So relax, knowing that God has already blocked it and the enemy can't prevail. Don't park here.
Don't bark.
You have to take action.
Yeah.
Don't park here.
Yeah.
You have to trust His
Yeah.
authority.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to park here, lastly and finally, you have to travel ahead.
Yeah.
You have to travel ahead. While the Israelites were at this standstill, God did not want His people to be intimidated, because He was a defense for them. But as He shielded the Israelites, Moses lifted up his rod as God instructed. And he did this in order to part the Red Sea.
Glory, glory.
Now, although this tool lacked the inherent ability to accomplish such an impossible feat, God's power was revealed through it.
Teach it.
Because when Moses lifted up the rod, we witnessed the creation story in reverse. Because in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9, on the third day of creation, God gathered the waters to form the sea.
Yeah.
But in contrast, in Exodus 14, he divided the waters to separate the sea. And this miracle occurred when a strong wind drove the sea back, causing the waters to congeal and stand upright on the right and the left with dry land in the middle, transforming this impassable and uncrossable sea into the highway of freedom. Now we shout over the fact that God split the Red Sea. But God could have split the sea as much as he wanted. But the only thing that was still stopping the Israelites is their decision to move forward. Let's consider the fact that they've been following God's guidance all of this time. And all it did was lead them into situations that seemed hopeless and situations where it seemed like they could not make it on their own. They probably say, what if we get in the middle of the sea? And then the waters close back on. They could have said, man, this is probably just another trap for Pharaoh to get us. The Israelites never experienced a miracle like this before, so they could have hesitated and remained parked where they were. And we have to be honest. Many of us can relate to this in our own lives. Because one thing we don't like to do is step into the unknown. Because there have been times when God has opened doors for us, doors we've been waiting for years to be opened, but as soon as we get the opportunity, we fail to take action because we're worried about what's up ahead. And we worry about the fear of what could go wrong. You mean to tell me you done gave these folks your application? Waiting all this time for these folks to give you an interview. And as soon as they call you, you're not having second thoughts because you feel like you're not qualified for the job and you feel like you do not have the expertise to do what is required of you. You got accepted into your dream college. You always wanted to go to the place where you received your acceptance letter, but as soon as you get it in the mail, you start doubting yourself, saying, I'm not smart enough and I feel like I won't make it. You finally met someone you thought you would be with for a lifetime. Y'all settled, started talking, remained in the talking stage for quite some time, but when that person wanted to take it to another level, you are now afraid because you think they'll betray you. And you feel like you're not a good match. You've been preparing to lunch your bid. But now, as you finally get your ducks in the row, you're now stuck at a standstill because you're too worried about being in competition with other folks. The point of the matter is that God can make ways for us, but we fail to walk in what He has said in front of us. But let me tell you, this describes your situation. Where you allow doubt and fear to confine you, you will never experience the greatness of God. Because it's in those moments of uncertainty that when you trust God, you open the door for Him to work wonders in ways you never imagined. And I can't speak for you, but I can speak for myself. But whenever God makes a way for me, I can leave you behind, but let me tell you, I'm moving forward. Let me tell you like this. song, he was talking about a woman. But let me tell you this. I can't stay too long. I got to keep moving. This remix, my God, he's waiting. I don't want to be foolish. I got a good thing going on. And I ain't trying to lose it. Can't stay too long. I got to keep moving. And I don't know about you this morning, but I'm just like King George, and I got to keep my eye on the prize, and I got to keep moving. I'm moving to excellence. I'm moving to better. I'm moving to greater. I'm moving to my dreams. I'm moving to my purpose. And move to what God has prepared. So you can say Paul right here. But let me tell you, my car is in drive and we're going full speed. But let me tell you, in the season of my life, I will not settle for less than God's best. We see it that the Israelites could have failed to move forward. But we see that they walked across the sea on dry ground. And we have to understand that when they were crossing the sea, Pharaoh's heart was hard and he went after them while they were making their way to freedom. But when Pharaoh was trying to do the very thing that the Israelites were doing, their chariots got stuck. And Pharaoh said, we got to go back because God is fighting for them. But let me tell you, when the Israelites made it to the other side, Moses lifted up that rod again, and the waters came back together. And when the waters came back together, Pharaoh hadn't made it to the other side. But Pharaoh and his horsemen and his chariots were caught in the Red Sea. And let me tell you, the same ditch other folk try to dig for you. In the same ditch that they'll fall in themselves. Because whenever folk try to defeat you, God can turn things around to defeat them in front of you. That's why you ought not be worried about what folk do to you. Because in the end, God will work it out. Have I got a witness? And when the waters come back, Egyptian slavery was ended once and for all. And now the Israelites were making their way to freedom. Have I got a witness? And let me tell you that because they moved forward, they made way to what God had for them. Have I got a witness? And can I tell you that whenever you move forward, you make way to what God has. Have I got a witness? And I got to tell you that sometimes God needs you to come out in order for Him to bring you in. Have I got a witness? And I don't know about you, but this is my season to come out. Have I got a witness? I'm coming out of depression. I'm coming out of my sickness. that's gonna move forward. And if you are gonna move forward, say yeah, 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 yeah. Give him a wave and thank him for making a way out of no way. But let me tell you that 2,000 years ago, I came out because I was trapped in the sin. But a man named Jesus died in my stead. Died on an old rugged cross. Died till justice got satisfied. Died to the moon, took away in blood. Died to the centurion soldier. Said surely this must be the Son of God. But he brought me out one Sunday morning. But we got up with all power in his hand. If you